Hey friends, here with another message of the moment. Have a message that wants to come through. It's short and sweet, and I was given this image today of stop, drop, and roll. So I don't know if you guys learned this when you were a child, but if you're on fire, one of the ways out of that is to stop, drop, and roll to put the fire out. And so this metaphor came through in relation to actually my previous post that I did today around fear and fear systems and fear thought processes and stories that keep us locked in and prevent us from evolving, prevent us from ascending into these places that we're desiring to go in our life, within ourselves, and to really embody these things that we're wanting more of. So I was given this image, and I love this when I do this in real time because I never know exactly what's going to come through, but I always really trust that it's going to be a message that's perfect for you guys in your now moment. But when it comes to these fear stories that keep you feeling stuck, they feel like repetitive looping or like you're on the hamster wheel, you're finding yourself getting annoyed with them over and over, that's you being on fire. The fear is the fire, right? You can feel it, it's constrictive. If you can slow down enough to feel in your body how it's constricting you, you can feel it, right? A lot of times we're in these fear stories and we're so under the spell of being in the fear that we feel like we are the fear, we are the story, that is our identity. It's so glommed on and attached to us that it's hard to see where you begin and the fear ends and vice versa. So the fear is the fire in this metaphor. You're on fire. You're in a fear spiral. You're in that annoying looping going on. And so the first step is to stop, to pause, to stop. A lot of times it has to get really loud, really uncomfortable, really annoying for me to get my attention to be like, oh, like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So more and more, depending on whatever it is that I'm up against, or a story that I'm shedding, sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes a shorter amount of time to recognize that I'm in it. So that's the first step. Stop. Stop. Recognize that you're in the story. Lay eyes on the story. When you lay eyes on the story, you create a little bit of space between you and the story that you're feeding and buying into and being. And it kind of stops time. I know some of these fear stories can be pretty strong. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience, but that's the first step. You have to stop. You have to lay eyes on it. You have to recognize what you're doing. And when we do that, we drop into the observer self, right? So now we're seeing what we're doing. When we do this, it gives us choice. It opens time and space. It opens gaps to make a different choice. Sometimes it feels against our own will that we're in the store and we don't know what else to plug in, and there's some more healing work to do within the physical body, within the nervous system, more releasing to do. So that may be what you do in the place of, just simply jumping from one fear story to a different story that feels better. There may be some healing work, some grief work to do around that story, depending on how long it's been with you. That's just been my personal experience. So step one, though, is always, you got to acknowledge what you're doing. You got to create that observer, allow the observer self to come in, lay eyes on what you're doing, and pause. So stop, dropping the story, right? Choosing a different story, right? That will give you the momentum to roll out of the story and, ascend or evolve onto the next thing that you're after. So dropping the story, you have that little bit of space, you get to pick the next highest thing, right? The next story that's actually true for that reality that you're in. Calling it in, calling it forth, and then how do you start to take the necessary steps to align with the story that's more true for you in the moment. And then roll. That's when the momentum starts going again. That's where, life starts shape-shifting for you and putting you more in alignment and delivering into the space because you've created the space. Once you release the constriction that the fear is causing around your mind, your body, your life, it opens a void. The universe loves a void, right? Especially when it has something to deliver into. So, and then the newer, higher thing can come forward. Whew. Easier said than done. I get this. So have patience. It's a practice. At this point in the game, I'm measuring my comeback rates with stuff. I love measuring my comeback rates. I love using these experiences as portals, right? So use the fear as a portal. It's trying to get your attention so it can be released, right? But you can't release it if you're in it. So stop, drop, and roll. that's all that's coming through. That's what I'm going to leave you with. There's a little bit more in the post that I did before this if you want to check it out. Other than that, I'll see you guys soon.